Hello YouTube. I had planned to give you an update sooner on my unemployment journey, but I've been really super busy and made some notes so that I don't miss anything important. So I believe that when I last talked to you, I had been waiting to have my orientation meeting with the unemployment office. And that was a REASA meeting. There's an initial meeting and then there's a follow-up meeting. So I had my initial meeting. My follow-up meeting is next week. And REASA stands for Reemployment Services and Eligibility Assessment Program. Basically, they are acting as a counselor and advisor to help you develop a strategy and a game plan to guide you toward the resources that are available through their services, through the unemployment program. And I had met with the lady. It was a phone conference call. And she actually called me when I was driving, and thank goodness I had my phone mounted so I could just, I was almost somewhere where I could park. So she waited like 30 seconds while I found a parking spot. And then I started scribbling notes and told her where I'd been so far, where I was wanting to go. And basically I've done about 5 certifications so far, I believe, for unemployment. And as of now, but I think I was at 4 at the time of the meeting. Anyway, I told her that, the jobs that I had been applying at that were in my pay range, I was at the top of my pay range for what I qualify for with my current credentials. And I felt like that I needed more education to move up to the next level. I only have so many years before I retire. So I really need to make the best of these final years. I might have, 15, 20 years, maybe, depending on if they up the retirement age or not. I mean, the older you get, the harder it is, depending on the field that you're in. So I need to gain the education I need to be in a field where I can, be some 90-something-year-old person and still work, if I want to. And I want to make more money because I've got to sock that stuff away for retirement, because who knows what Social Security is going to be by the time I get ready to retire. There's some reports saying that it might only be 75% of what people older than us were going to get, by the time I hit retirement age. So I can't count on necessarily the full Monty. I can account for a partial. So I'm either going to be working till I die, or I'm going to have some sort of supplemental income, or I'm going to have to save a bunch of money. So I have been researching different fields, and I felt like that I needed to get into the tech end of things. That's where right now there's the most job growth. The pay is much higher. Now, if enough people get into it, that pay might very well level off 10, 20 years from now. But the bottom of it is like the top of where I'm at. So I'm hoping if I take enough classes and get enough education, I can literally make, from a pay grade wise, slide right over and make what I was making before I became unemployed, and then have room to get increases and raises and be able to save money, or be able to continue with what I've been working on. So we talked about what I had found so far on the website in my orientation meeting. And she said, and I told her, I told her how convoluted the website was, and if she had any pro tips or pointers with where to find stuff, or what the file path was, to let me know. So she did send me an email summarizing some file paths, that I could use. That way I'm not like having to research every time. She connected me with the Title I person. She set me up for an appointment with them to meet, to go over getting me registered into a class on their dime. So that's what I'm working on now. I mean, no sooner I got off the phone with her, it was like within the hour, I had a phone call and had an initial phone meeting with the Title I person. And we set up an appointment for me to, well, she gave me times when I could come in the following week. So I went in on Monday. I had lunch with a friend and I said, I'm just going to go over there and get this knocked out now. So I met her. I had spent the weekend after my orientation phone meeting looking through the courses. There is a, why didn't I write it down? I had it right in front of my face. Here we go. Hello. Didn't write it down on that. I'm going to have to pull up my, hang on. Forgive me. Okay. I keep forgetting the name of this. Okay. It is UT Chattanooga, and they have a Center for Professional Education. They have a number of online classes. Many of these are computer-based classes where you take the course and it's like a prep for getting certified in certain areas of IT, etc. The long game for me is to be more on the computer programming end, but there's a class there I feel like I need to take just to get a lay of the land of all the different fields, get like basic introductions to IT. And because I think IT is probably the tech field I could get into the easiest. And it might be something like help desk. It might be something that's not help desk. It might be networking or setting up computers. It might be more hardware based. But I think that that's probably the easiest thing to get into. You're usually following a script. You're like the first line to help somebody if they have computer problems. And those often have different shifts. So I think it would be easier to continue my education if I were in that field and work toward an associate's and bachelor's degree. So what my game plan is to do online courses on one hand, get some certifications, get an entry-level job in tech, and hopefully that base pay will be enough that I can finance and not rely on, I don't want to go into debt. I don't want debt. I just don't want debt. That's why I haven't had anything more than what I've had yet. But I'm hoping that will position me to where if I'm in the field, I'm just going to be absorbing things just because I'm immersed in it. And it will give me a better idea of what directions I might want to go in. It will help me build the network in that field and make connections with people that are in that area. I will have a group of people that if I'm studying something, I could say, hey, I'm struggling with this. Tell me what I'm missing, So I can have people who can nurture, mentor, and help me when I hit any tight spots. Hang on a second. There, okay. I'm gonna make the screen not glare at me. So I'm getting signed up for this really basic IT class. And I've printed off all the programming classes that are in the degree program for UTC with all of their descriptions. And I'm going to read through all of these descriptions. And then I'm going to go to the Alison online courses that are available through the Jobs for Tennessee website and look at any free classes that align with some of these courses and use those as a getting my feet wet in each of these areas so that I become familiar with the terminology. I become familiar with getting introduced to languages so that whenever I do take these degree programs, maybe I can do it with one eye closed, or at least I won't be struggling as much. So I know it's kind of double stacking courseware, but the Alison courses are free, and it's at least given me an exposure, even though I'm not working in the field yet. So I think right now I am, and I did a bunch of Googling about what languages should one learn first, and like, if I'm going to learn Python, is there anything I need to learn before I learn Python? And what I'm seeing the most is JavaScript, of course. That's the most common computer language out there. And what I'm seeing is you need to have HTML and where is the other thing I wrote down and I don't have it? Is it CSS? HTML and CSS. There it is. There's my little tree. Okay, so learn HTML and CSS and then draw JavaScript. But I saw this article that said, don't try to just stay with HTML and CSS. You need to learn them at the same time you learn JavaScript, because you need to be able to apply what you're learning with HTML and CSS in a practical way while you're working with JavaScript. Otherwise, you're just going to get bored and you're going to fall off the wagon. So basically the article said, and I'll try to find it and I'll put a link in the description below when I get all my editing done, that you should try to do all of those together, because it will give you more momentum, I guess is the word I was looking for. And those are my words. So, and then the JavaScript is for more front end. And then if you're going to do back end, you should learn Java, not JavaScript. You can learn both, but you know what I mean. I'm probably going to be more of a front end developer because I'm really into how a website looks and how logical the buttons are and what page goes to what page and is it elegant, and that's just what drives me nuts about some pages. You know, I mean, you see some really crap pages out there that are a hot mess. They're not indented right. There's stuff that's going off the side of the page. It just drives me nuts. And I know that would be something I'm just naturally fussy about. So I would be super motivated on that end. And then once I get my foundations in that, stack Python on top of that, and then depending on what I want to do, I'm starting to also, from a potential future employer end, looking at major companies in Chattanooga, and I'm looking at their job boards for all the tech. I'm looking at the requirements. What languages do they want? So company A wants these computer languages, and company B wants these computer languages, and company C wants these computer languages. So I'm basically kind of making a tree of potential companies that are big, that have like decent sized IT departments that I could work for one day. And depending on, you know, do I like this company? Do I like what they do? Do I believe in that? You know, like I would love to work for EPB one day because, God, we're so lucky to have EPB. You know, I mean, we're not getting ripped off by Comcast anymore because there's this valid competition. And there are so many laws that have been passed at the state level, in various states, at the national level, where they do not want public utilities competing with private for-profit companies, or not private for-profit companies, for-profit companies, on things like internet service. And there's a lot of towns and cities throughout the country who have wanted to provide that as a utility, and lobbyists have wiggled their way into state legislators and gotten them to pass bills and resolutions saying, no, you can't do that, which sucks because you're undermining business. You're undermining business by not having competitive internet service in your local area. So you're shooting yourself in the foot, city, county, town, statewide, by having these limiting laws and not letting a utility provide the service. So, you know, I'm pretty much going to stay in Chattanooga because there's no other place like it that I know of in the U.S. that has this magical, wonderful internet service provided by the local utility board and affordably, that we're not getting ripped off. So, you know, the housing prices are going up. I'm glad I bought my house when I did. I think that, you know, there's going to be a plus and minus for everything, but that's Rico. That's a tangent. Anyway, so as an example, if I wanted to work at EBB, you go to their job board, you can see what languages do they take. You know, what do they work in? And they have different requirements for the electrical grid end of it versus the internet end of it. So there's like a variety. If you went to TVA, they're going to want something else. If you went to Blue Cross or Unum Provident or Amazon or Volkswagen, you know, they're all going to have different needs. They're all going to be having their own focuses of languages and needs for their companies. So, you know, it's really hard to predict, and it's really, you almost have to have, you know how, okay, Europeans speak more than one language, all right? No big deal. They'll speak 3, 4, 5, whatever. It's very common in Europe to learn a number of languages because all these countries are so relatively small in comparison to the U.S. that it's no big deal. Now, if you take the concept of learning multiple spoken languages with learning computer languages, we should take the European approach. If you are ever going to be into tech or computers or programming, you're almost always going to be learning multiple languages just because you never know who you're going to work for and what they're going to need. So the thing that you need to learn is you need to learn how to learn languages. And once you learn how to learn languages, then it's easy to learn any language and add it on. It may take time for you to become good at it. The more I study and read, the more I believe that it is going to take me a couple years to get my feet wet. I have, and tech is always moving. Everything's always moving. So it's kind of like one of those stretchy hallways where you're running. And is the hallway going to go stretch out and get longer? You know, that Twilight Zone effect, I guess. You know, and to where you almost feel like you're running in place. Are you going to be able to keep up? That is, I'm not worrying about it too much right now, but I see that as kind of a possibility. So I don't want to waste time. I want to make good use of my time. And I'm trying to do a little bit of this, you know, this front digging around ahead of time, figuring out an initial strategy for what languages I need as my foundation so that I'm not hobbled further down the road. And this initial strategy seems pretty solid to me. Now, I had to figure all this out by myself because the other thing I wanted to talk about was when you're going down the educational rabbit hole and you're trying to figure out what courses to take. So I've got like 3 things I'm looking at right now. Enrolling in UTC proper to pursue a degree program, doing the Center for Professional Education, which is more of a continuing education credit thing that maybe people with degrees take to improve their skills. it is not toward an associate's or bachelor's degree, but it goes towards certifications. So it's a different branch of the educational tree. And they're not allowed to talk about, like the professional education end of it. They only get to talk about what they know. They can't speak for the degree end. The degree end doesn't know. So these are like right hand and left hand, totally different things. They are not going to overlap. They're not going to mesh and provide information. You have to do your research and figure out what these guys are going to provide and what these guys are going to provide. And you have to make your own connections as to how you think that will mesh together. So, and I'm using the Alison courses as like a little side sucker branch just to give me the clue bat as to what the terminology is, how things interconnect a little bit. I guess it's kind of like learning the alphabet. I don't know. But so I've got about a month before my courses start, and I am going to take as many Alison courses as I can that I feel like would be super, super, super basic tech related. Like, let's see, what do I have? I was looking at some, okay, so I overreached because I found an intro to data science, but I wanted to take it because it kind of deals with what my wheelhouse is, which is I've done a lot of database design and management. My background is I archived a publication library. I did organized an entire file room. I think I talked about this before, of documents on a massive multi-million construction project in preparation for a lawsuit. So cataloging, archiving, organizing data and information is kind of my wheelhouse. And then I helped the group of clinics I used to work for design a way to digitize their medical records and have an ongoing system where staff at each clinic had a methodology for scanning, storing, and archiving the files, and a methodology for the various people who had to form care plans and assessments, do their work, and be able to access that data that is continually added. Like, they have like a very short turnaround time to get the information in when they receive it. So it's very current, and a methodology to review and audit those records to make sure that the criteria for how they're stored and saved and named is being consistent and maintained. So, so that goes right into data science. Data science end of it is more compiling information and trying to ask questions based on the data to get information. It's organizing the data digitally in such a way that you can run queries and design queries and get some sort of answers. It could be related to sales. It could be related to accidents. It could be related to how people shop and how many clicks they get or anything like that. So if you are trying to figure out, how many people pursue higher education, or how do people hunt for jobs, anything like that. Just think about anything. You can run some data on it if you have enough data, and so the data science is trying to figure out how to ask the right questions to get an answer and to be able to predict future actions. And so the class that I'm taking is on Alison, and it's I can understand most of it, but I've never taken a statistics class, so that's something I'm going to have to take at UTC proper. That was the thing I was avoiding, because I was a little afraid of it, but I'm not as afraid of it anymore because I can see how it can be applied. So after printing off the entire set of computer classes that is through the degree program, I'm cross-referencing it to the Alison courses and finding things that are like the kindergarten version of those initial first year, second year classes. And so I'm going to try to take at least one class a week. So I've picked, there's fundamentals of HTML, fundamentals of JavaScript, and those are the first two I'm definitely going to take. And I am going to get through those first and then kind of spend a little time on the side looking at the other Alison courses and just see what I want to put in the queue next. So I still need to do my job searches. And so I either do a class counts as a job search, and these classes are a little heavier than I expected. They're not fluff classes. You are actually learning something on all of them. So, and it's important that you not just do the modules and click through, but look at the bottom. There's a toolbar at the bottom that has resources. So there's documents to download that you'll want to do and study. And they're very separate often from what's in the front lecture end of it. So you have study materials you'll have to go through. And if you're going to do it justice, you do want to spend a little bit of time on it. So at first I thought, I'll just do 3 classes a week and I won't have to job hunt. But no. If you really want to get something out of this, you're going to have to spend more time studying. And it's probably worthwhile to not do more than one a week till you really get your feet wet, depending on the subject. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I found, every week I worry, are there going to be good jobs to apply to? Is the job market still good? Because when I first got on, it's every job that was out there, going back, most of the jobs I was posting for were current. There were a couple that were a couple of months old, and I just went ahead and hit them anyway because it looks like they were still open. So now I'm to the point where, and I'm not applying to jobs that I don't think will be a good fit for me because I don't want to waste the employer's time and I don't want to waste my time dealing with that. So far, I've been able to just pick jobs that I feel like would be helpful. I would love to be able to work at an educational institution. That would be a way for me to get free classes. And I don't really want to take a ton of classes at once, although that's probably, that is the way I can avoid going into debt. I'm just going to have to stretch this out. And I feel like that if I'm on campus, it'll be much easier to take classes because I'm there. I won't be so easily distracted. I can, and there's also probably a little more leniency for, yes, it's time for your class. You may go over and do that. They're not going to discourage that like they do in corporate. I often want to hyper focus. I want to just dig down deep on my job. If I'm working a job and I'm making good money, I really just want to give that all my mental attention because at the end of the day, I just want to veg out. And so I don't like being divided. But I feel like if I can find a job that I'm already experienced at, that's in my skill set range, then, after the learning curve period is over, I should be able to devote spare time to that. I've pretty much pulled back from all of my hobbies that I've done. I'm really trying to be very essential about how I spend my time. And I'm trying to eat my frogs up front, so to speak. There's a book out that was called something about eating the frog. And, so every week, every day, I'm looking at my to-do list, I'm looking at my calendar, and I'm saying, what is the most important thing I need to do today? And I'm trying to get that knocked out. And so that's also why I haven't posted sooner or filmed a video sooner, because I've really, with that meeting, that really leapfrogged the educational end of it forward. There's a lot of resources to take advantage of. So I have a follow-up meeting next week. I've got Mother's Day to deal with this weekend. And so I will probably try to do another video next week, depending on if I get all my ducks in a row. And maybe I can tell you what I think about the fundamentals of HTML. So you get to watch me go through kindergarten, basically, for the next month or 2 or 3. With some of these very beginner classes. And I am, part of me is afraid of, is this class going to be too much for me? That I'm going through the Office of Continuing Education. Or, you know, I want to have as much basic knowledge as I can ahead of time, so that I'm not scrambling to understand the simplest of things. I am at, you know, who knows who else is going to be in the class? Who knows where they're coming from, what their knowledge is? I don't want to drag the class down. I don't want to make anyone behind. My counselors at the job center say that I'm being very proactive. That everything I'm doing is fine. I'm doing all the right things. And, that there's, you know, they come across people who don't even want a job hunt. So I've been doing good. I've been very strategic in what I'm looking up. So I've been given reassurances that how I'm doing is fine. I'm not doing anything to put anything at risk of losing my unemployment at this point. So that was a huge relief, because you really just don't know until you know. Having that unemployment is going to give me the time I need. And once the classes start, I don't have to do those 3 job searches a week. I'm still going to try to do a weekly Alison course if I can anyway. Because I feel like that this is just one class that I'm taking through UTC. I should be able to stair stack that. And if I'm not having to spend time job hunting, then that's more time I can spend educating myself. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I am, you know, there's a little part of me that is just, you know, I don't want to flake out on this. I don't want to not do this. This has been something that's been stewing in my head for a while, and I like learning. I don't, you know, I am always going down the rabbit hole and reading about things, but it's kind of like a shotgun effect. It's been all over the place, but I really feel like that this is something I want to focus on, that I'm sure it will keep my mind busy for years and years and years. I don't think I'll ever run out of things to learn in this field. I don't think I'll get bored. I hope I won't. That would be horrible. But I'm babbling now. So I just wanted to say thank you for listening. I'm amazed that I'm getting more subscribers. It's probably because Tennessee unemployment is probably hitting a keyword, but I am trying to think if there's anything else. Let me look at my notes. I just want to be sure. Okay. So I talked about my orientation meeting. I talked about the Alison branch. I talked about the professional education, continuing professional education branch. I talked about the order in which I want to learn languages. I talked about the Reemployment Services and Eligibility Assessment Program and the meeting I had and the follow-up. And so I think that's everything. Yes, that's everything. Guys, if you want to get more, like and subscribe so you can get more updates. If you have any comments or questions, let me know. I will try to remember to post some web links for some of these websites I've been talking about. And I forgot what the other thing was. Okay, on the Alison courses. All right, so they say it's a free course, right? All right, here's the deal. If you finish the course and they say, click here to buy your certificate. If you want a certificate, like a little piece of paper with your name and a signature and a date on it, if you want like a little paper certificate, it says it's 30 pounds or something or more, depending on what you get. You don't have to do that. You can finish the course and then you go to my dashboard or your profile, whatever your page is on the Alison site, because of course you have to register. It'll have a summary of your courses completed. It'll have a certificate number. And so you can just copy all that data and have it, and it's look-upable. So you do not have to do the certificate piece of paper thing. That's not necessary. I can't order stuff overseas anyway, so not how my my bank account is set up. And I think that is, it was set up that way and I didn't know. And I tried to order some galoshes from the UK once, and it was like, wouldn't go through, and it wouldn't go through, and I couldn't figure out. So I called my bank, it's like, why won't this go through? You know, and then it's like, well, where is the company? And I said, it's somethinguk.com. They're like, oh yeah, you can't do that. And I'm like, and I figure it's because so many people get ripped off by overseas swindlers, you know, like some prince from Somalia or something like that, you know, or Nigeria or whatever it is. There's so many scams that are set up that I think it's probably easier for the banks if they say, no, you can't do that. So if you ever have to, anyway, that aside, I'm not going to pay 30 pounds for a certificate from overseas. I don't need it. I got my little dashboard thing I'll do. So anyway, so that's everything. Thank you. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in about a week if all goes well, if I don't get busy again. Thanks. Bye.